lot of women were posting online that they were getting weird periods in June, so either getting a double period or having a late period or a missed period entirely. There were a lot of theories going around about why this was happening. Some people said it was because of solar flares, other people were saying it was the shutdown of the Large Hadron Collider that did it, and there was a feminist mysticism around it, with some people saying that this was evidence of matriarchal consciousness becoming the more dominant force in the world, or a collective womb emerging. And other people were saying that it was possibly the heat waves across North America and Europe that were causing stress and changing people's menstrual cycles. These are the heat waves that killed thousands of people in France, in the UK, and in America. So ScienceAlert asked me to investigate this. So what I first did is I went to a gynecologist and infertility expert who I know in Melbourne, and she said at first glance it seemed like this was just some viral TikTok trend, everybody jumping on the bandwagon. But then when she sat and thought about it, it actually made some sense. Women who are experiencing stress often have changes to their menstrual cycles. So if you're going through a divorce, or your high school exams, or you have anorexia or another untreated chronic illness, or you're exercising intensely, those can all lead to changes in your menstrual cycle. What's happening here is that the body likes to conserve energy, particularly when it's stressed, and having a pregnancy is a very big output of energy. So when you're under a lot of stress, the body shuts down. I also spoke to a GP in the UK who's written a book about periods, and she said that the environment can influence menstruation. We know that air pollution, for instance, causes people's periods to become longer and irregular. Environmental toxins can mimic hormones and cause disruption to the endocrine system. And climate change, which comes with heat waves and extreme weather, can put so much stress on the body that it changes your menstrual cycle. And there is some research out there showing that heat stress in particular can cause pregnancy complications and lead to preterm births. So yes, it is plausible that the heat waves across Europe and North America could have had this population level impact, but is the fact that people are posting about this to social media any evidence that this is what actually happened? So I spoke to an epidemiologist who said that social media is not data, and it's possible that in June the same number of women as every other month had weird periods, but that more women happened to post about it because there was a social media trend. There is one other potential reason that women were posting about this more in June, and that could be the involvement of the period tracking apps. So when I did more digging, I found over a dozen videos created by people who looked like ordinary social media users, but when you looked at their profiles, they were formally associated with the period tracking app called Muser. And these videos had stylistic similarities. They were using the blood emoji to talk about periods. They were also posting a screenshot of the Muser app at the end of the video. And of course, we can't tell if those were real women or if they were AI generated. We have no idea if their stories were true or not. I emailed Muser to ask whether or not they had intentionally started this trend, and they didn't email me back. I also spoke to another science journalist who told me that people are feeling a little wary of the period tracking apps, particularly if they live in the United States, because there's a concern that the data could be used to prosecute people for abortions. There's no evidence that this has happened, and that some of the apps say that they specifically have not given data to any authorities, but it's out there. That being said, one of the best placed organisations to find out if something happened in June or not around women's periods globally would be one of these tracking apps, because they have so much data, and some of them have permission from their users to use this data in scientific research. So I emailed two of the organisations that have advertised that they do medical research. One was called Flow and the other one was called Clue. Clue got back to me with some very detailed and long responses, which was super interesting, saying that yes, it would be completely possible to analyse the data from June around the world and see whether or not people's periods shifted significantly. They haven't actually gotten around to doing this because it's quite a tricky analysis to do, but they were the group that actually published a paper showing that air pollution was affecting people's periods, and they are planning to do a study to look at whether heat affects people's menstruation as well. I love this kind of story where you get to poke around and find out whether something's true or not. So if you have any tips for me, please get in contact with me. It's felicity.nelson@frogsandstars.com. I'm a science journalist and I love looking into this kind of thing.